Somewhere on a quiet street on the left bank of Paris, there's a woman who has been getting dressed better than almost anyone in fashion for over 3 decades, and she's never once tried to keep up with what's trending. Linda Wright doesn't walk into a room looking for attention, but she gets it every time, because everything about her says, "I know exactly who I am." She's the founder of Crimson Cashmere, and her wardrobe is built on principles so simple they seem too obvious, until you realize most of us spend half our lives overlooking them. I'm sharing 6 of those principles today, and when we get to number 5, I think you'll understand why it reshaped how I approach my own closet entirely. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Parker Holloway, and today we're unpacking the style wisdom of Linda Wright, the Parisian boutique owner whose approach to dressing has quietly influenced women all over the world. I have a feeling this one's going to make you rethink a few things, so let's jump right in. Number 1, choose fabric over brand names every single time. Here's what's interesting about Linda. Before she looks at the cut or the color or who designed something, she reaches for the fabric. She said repeatedly that she'd take one gorgeous cashmere sweater over a whole drawer full of synthetic knits that lose their shape after a couple of washes. And once you hear that, it reframes the entire way you make decisions when you shop. Most of us walk into a store drawn to the label or the look or the price. Linda's first instinct is to feel the material. She thinks about how it drapes, whether it will hold up over time, how it's going to sit against your skin at the end of a long day. That's an entirely different starting point. And here's what really matters. You don't need a big budget to apply this. Just start checking fabric composition tags. Prioritize natural materials: wool, cotton, linen, silk, cashmere. A well-constructed cotton blouse at a modest price will always outshine a synthetic piece that cost 3 times as much. What strikes me about this is that it hands you back control. You stop deferring to a designer's name and start relying on your own sense of what quality feels like. That shift is permanent once it clicks. And this notion of trusting your own eye ties directly into something Linda does with color that I think is going to catch you off guard, but I'll save that for later. Number 2, anchor your wardrobe in 5 essential pieces, not 50 impulse buys. This is the foundation of everything Linda believes about getting dressed, and it sounds almost too straightforward to be revolutionary. Her view is that every woman needs 5 key pieces she knows without question work beautifully for her shape, her routine, and her sense of self. In Linda's case, those tend to be perfectly fitted trousers, a luxurious cashmere knit, a sharp blazer, a clean white shirt, and one exceptional pair of shoes. But your 5 could look nothing like hers, and that's exactly the point. It's not a prescription, it's a structure. Where most of us go wrong is cramming our wardrobes with piece after piece that almost works, nearly fits, and sort of coordinates. Then we stand there every morning convinced we own nothing worth wearing. Linda's method turns that on its head. Once you truly know your 5, how each fits, how it feels, how it pairs with the others, getting dressed stops being stressful and starts feeling natural. For me, this is one of the most freeing concepts in personal style because it replaces the pressure to keep buying with the clarity of knowing what you already have. If you want a starting point, try this. Imagine you had to narrow your wardrobe down to just 5 items. Whatever came to mind first, that's your anchor. Number 3, fit matters more than anything else you'll ever do with clothes. Linda Wright has her garments tailored and refined until every piece sits on her body precisely the way it should. Not skin tight, not swimming in extra fabric, just proportioned exactly right. And this is where so many women unknowingly undermine their own style, not by picking the wrong pieces, but by wearing good pieces that simply don't fit properly. A stunning blazer with shoulders that are too broad immediately loses its impact. Trousers that pool around the ankle go from sophisticated to sloppy in an instant. For Linda, tailoring isn't an occasional luxury, it's part of how she gets dressed. And truthfully, it doesn't need to cost much. A skilled local tailor can adjust a hem, bring in a waistline, or reshape a shoulder for far less than you'd expect. What resonates with me about this is how democratic it is. You could pick up trousers for $20, spend another $15 on alterations, and end up looking sharper than someone wearing a pair that costs 10 times as much straight from the store. Fit levels the playing field. And whenever you see a woman who just looks naturally polished, almost every time the secret isn't the clothes, it's how well they fit her. Now, the first 3 secrets I've walked you through, choosing quality fabric, building around core pieces, getting the fit right, those are things most women can work out given enough time. But what comes next is where things get truly interesting. Secrets 4, 5, and 6 draw the line between dressing well and dressing with real distinction. These are the lessons that took Linda years to arrive at. Number 4, use color sparingly and with real purpose. This is where Linda's style philosophy starts to feel like something closer to an art form. She's not someone who shies away from color. That's a misunderstanding people often have. What she does is deploy color with extraordinary discipline. Her wardrobe gravitates toward deep, grounded neutrals: camel, navy, charcoal, ivory, rich burgundy. And if she introduces a bolder shade, it's always intentional and always alone. A red lip, a cobalt scarf, a single point of interest that draws your attention without crowding out everything else. Where most of us go astray, and I've fallen into this pattern more times than I can count, is trying to create interest by layering on more color. A bold print with a bright bag with oversized earrings, and suddenly nothing has room to breathe. Linda works in the opposite direction. She gives one element permission to shine and keeps the rest quiet. The effect is that your eye goes to her, not to any single garment. If this approach feels like a stretch, start gently. Put together one look this week using just 2 tones, maybe navy and ivory. Then introduce a single pop of color, a scarf, a shoe, a lipstick shade. I think you'll notice something immediately. There's a calm confidence that comes from giving the eye one clear place to rest. Number 5, dress for the life you're actually living. This is the one I mentioned at the start, and honestly, it's the one that fundamentally shifted how I see my own wardrobe. Linda Wright's daily life in Paris involves walking to her boutique, working with clients, enjoying unhurried lunches. Her closet is built around exactly those rhythms, not around some imagined version of a life she doesn't lead. She's never bought pieces for red carpets she won't attend. She doesn't collect clothes for occasions that don't exist. Every item earns its spot because it serves her real everyday life. And I believe this is where so many of us get trapped. We purchase things because they look stunning on a rack, or because we picture some idealized future self wearing them. But women with truly remarkable style, Linda among them, dress for today, for the morning errand, for the Wednesday afternoon wander through the market, for a long lunch with someone you love, for a quiet night in. The life you're living right now, that is the event. And the moment you start treating it that way, bringing the same thoughtfulness to an ordinary Tuesday that you'd bring to something special, everything changes. You begin to feel like the truest version of yourself every day, not just on the big days. I realize that sounds straightforward, but it's one of the most difficult shifts to make because it means releasing the imaginary wardrobe and committing to the real one. If you can manage that, if you can honestly look at how you spend your days and dress for that life beautifully, you've already unlocked something most women never do. And the final secret takes this somewhere even deeper. Number 6, let your style become your signature, something that is unmistakably yours. This is the principle that elevates Linda Wright from someone who dresses well to someone whose style is genuinely iconic. And I'd like you to really take this in. After decades of honing what works for her, Linda has moved past trends entirely. She doesn't check what's fashionable this season. She doesn't look to see what others are choosing. She's reached a place where getting dressed each morning is a quiet declaration of who she is, not who anyone expects her to be, not who any publication tells her she should be, just herself. And that right there is the real destination of personal style. It was never about appearing younger. It was never about appearing smaller. It was never about resembling someone else. It's about standing in front of the mirror and recognizing the most self-assured, most genuine version of yourself staring back. I think many of us, and I'm certainly speaking for myself, spend years getting dressed for other people's approval. We want to belong. We want to look like we've got it figured out. And at some point along that road, we forget what actually makes us feel radiant. Linda's most profound teaching has nothing to do with cashmere or tailoring or neutral palettes. It's about knowing yourself. It's about understanding who you are at your core and allowing your wardrobe to express that truth quietly and consistently every single day. And every one of us has access to that. You don't need a boutique in Paris. You don't need a closet full of designer labels. You just need self-awareness and a willingness to be brave. Because the woman who enters a room and holds your attention without saying a word, she's not wearing more than you are. She simply knows who she is. And that will always be the most elegant thing anyone can wear. That quiet presence, the kind that registers before a single word is spoken, that has less to do with the garments and everything to do with the woman inside them, that isn't some rare talent reserved for other people. It belongs to you today, with exactly what's already hanging in your closet. So the real question is, what are you going to remove from your outfit tomorrow morning? And if you love exploring what makes certain women's styles so magnetic, next week I'm featuring someone whose approach couldn't be more different from Linda's, and yet it's just as compelling. I think the comparison is going to fascinate you. All right, everyone, that is all I have for Linda Wright's 6 style secrets that most women learn too late. I hope you found this video helpful and maybe a little inspiring. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'd love to know which of these 6 lessons hit home for you, and is there one you're planning to put into practice? Drop it in the comments. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, and as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.